So today we're going to actually put the MSI Z170a Gaming Pro Carbon motherboard into our Corsair case. We're using the Corsair Graphite Series 230T, and it's a pretty good case. It has a lot of has the right standoffs for our motherboard. We're going to show you that, and it's also very easy to put peripherals like your optical drive and your SSD drive into it without actually needing to use any screws. So it's pretty decent. And of course our Corsair RM650X power supply fits in very nicely as well. Okay, so the first thing we have to do, which we haven't done already, is to put the back plate in for the motherboard. So basically we're going to put this in, and this just really nicely pops in right below the span here. And I'm just going to install this. I think we have to install it from this side. Pop it in. Okay, well maybe that's not the right way there. This is like this, because it's got to fit in snugly so it doesn't pop out. So this really just takes a little bit of pressure. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to make sure that we have, just don't want this moving. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You can see it has a little bit of cushioning on it for the motherboard itself. And on the other side, you can see all the outlets that are going to be used. Alright, so let me get the motherboard itself. I'm going to ground myself to the case just to make sure that I'm not carrying any static charge. I'm not on a rug surface, so I should be on a low static surface to begin with. I need to flip this around so all these inputs and outputs are on the other side and can be put into the case just right. And of course, one thing to pay attention to is we have 9 standoffs on the motherboard, which you can kind of see the main holes that are remaining. And those 9 standoffs actually correspond with the 9 standoffs that are in this case. So we're really just going to be putting this down ever so gently, and then sliding it over so that all of our inputs and outputs line up nicely. And when the inputs and outputs line up nicely, our standoff should be right in the right place. Okay, so there we go. And now there's one standoff, if you pay attention, that kind of it's a non-screw standoff, and it should, if I get this right. Let's see if I got this so I can see the screws there. There's one that should be showing. Let me just take this out one more time. What I'm looking for here is this one standoff here. This guy right here. This one's, let me get that here out of the way. This one standoff here should be showing through. Once I get that guy in and I get all the input and output ports in there, then I'm good to go to start screwing things in. But I have to get that one standoff showing. And okay, so I got that. I think there's a little bit of okay, there we go. Okay, right now I'm not seeing that. I have to edit this video a little bit. Alright, so the main reason we could not fit this in is before I did not pop down the lower 2 corners, and that's the reason we could not get this main standoff here. Because once the standoff is in, then we're in pretty good shape. So we're going to do this again. Probably edit the video a bit, but basically we're going to slide this motherboard in, the MSI Z170a Gaming Pro Carbon. And we're just going to move this into place. And once we get that, okay, now you can see that standoff is just about showing there, and it pops right in. So once you get that, then we're in good shape. Now the main thing is all these screw holes we should be able to use. You can see over here, there's a little bit, we're a little bit off on this one screw hole, so I'll probably adjust it as I'm putting in the other screws, but I'm just going to put one screw in at a time and not tighten everything until we're all done. Okay, so the next step is and the screws, of course. And this is just a screwdriver I bought at Home Depot. Your basic, you know, not the big package of screwdrivers where you have all kinds of screwdrivers you're never going to actually need. And it's not magnetized, so I use this magnet I also bought there. Put this in 2 or 3 times, and not only is this a good way to ground yourself, but it's also a good way to make sure that you can pick up the screws very easily. And we're just trying to make sure that we don't have the screws dropping into the motherboard, because that just kind of creates another potential problem. Okay, so we're going to just take this first screw right here. We're not going to tighten down all the way. We're just going to make sure that we can get it started. Okay, so the main thing is that you want to make sure you're using the right screws. These are just the, you know, you can test this before you actually get the motherboard in there and make sure that these are actually the right ones for your standoffs. We're just going to go around and kind of diagonally, and of course in this case we're not diagonal, but we're just on the other side. We're not trying to tighten everything up completely. We're leaving a little bit of play in there, and also making sure that we still have our screwdriver is still acting like a magnet. So do this one over here. I can tell there's going to be one problem just with that one upper left corner. It's going to take a little bit of effort to get that right. Okay, so then there is one screw hole all the way over here, and maybe if I get this one in, we'll start to see the other one line up here, because I think it's just off kilter a bit. Okay, so we're just going to screw that guy in. Okay, so that's just started. Notice that all these screws are, I'm just starting them, I'm not finishing the tightening. I'm going to take care of the most difficult one last. I'm hoping that maybe it'll start to line up once I get everything else in place. Okay. And this guy here. All right. Okay, so just 2 more to go. So this last one here, we're just, okay, oh yeah, here we go. So we have this one here. This should hopefully get us lined up a little bit better before we do the last one here. It's not a complex job, it's just that you have to make sure you don't injure any of your, especially you don't want to be hurting the motherboard, and lining things up and getting especially that center standoff. That was the biggest task. And then here, this guy here should now go in pretty well. So since I haven't really tightened them all down, now you don't want to super tighten these. You really just want to make sure they're snug. You don't want to be stripping any metal. Of course, metal fragments around your computer are a good way to shorten the life of your components, so you don't want to have anything like that. So I'm just really making sure that it's snug. And once I go all the way around and get all of the screws in just snug, then I'm basically done here. Let's see, did I miss anything? Okay. That's snug. And that is snug. And this last one over here should be the last one. I have to snug up. Okay, so I think we're good. And lastly, I'll just kind of just do a finger test on it to make sure that all of the sides of it look like there. Yeah, that's not going to budge. So that's it. Very simple. Just make sure that the standoffs are in the right place. Make sure you have a magnetic screwdriver. And using a magnet like this is actually